Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Phantom Perspectives. And today we're going to be discussing episode 30 of Danny Phantom: Secret Weapons. And as I stated last week, this episode kind of deals with a bit of fallout from Ultimate Enemy. In this case, one of the repercussions of Ultimate Enemy was that Danny now knows that Jazz knows about his superpowers. As such, this episode kind of follows up on that, as now that Jazz and Danny are kind of two minds of Danny's secret. Jazz is now trying to become a more active part of Danny's superheroing. But the thing is, it's still Jazz. As such, she gets way too into it, to the point where she starts following Danny around, is just trying to help him out in battle, is constantly on him to carry the Fenton thermos with him, and it's just kind of getting on Danny's nerves. She even ends up giving dumb nicknames to all the various ghosts that he fights. Like, he calls. Actually, I kind of forgot them. All I remember is the nickname she gave for Skulker, which was Ghost X, and I forgot what the other ones were. I forgot what she called. I forgot the other ones, honestly, but damn it, I screwed it up. Oh, log over. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, she's giving them lame nicknames, and even in battle, she's not doing so well either. As every time she tries to help, she instead just hurts Danny, gets him into something, and several times she ends up accidentally sucking him into the Fenton thermos. As such, Danny, just getting more annoyed, just keeps trying to hide from her or ditch her or whatever, but she keeps finding him, and to make matters worse, Skulker is now back and doing something. Only in this case, he's no longer hunting Danny. He seems to be looking for something, as he seems to be gathering certain objects. As first he gets an axe, as he steals these bloodstream nanobots from Axion, and then he attacks Fenton Works for a new device that Jack and Maddie created called the Ecto Converter, which is supposed to be an engine that works on ecto energy. Runs on ecto energy. As such, Jazz, after looking through what she knows about Skulker and / hacking Danny's laptop, thinks that he's stealing all the stuff for a bioweapon, but for some kind of super weapon. But Danny, having pretty much been on the receiving end of her help, winds up yelling at her and telling her that she has no business in this and that she needs to butt out of it. As such, Jazz gets so hurt by this that she runs off, and the next day they learn that she apparently ran away. Well, it turns out the person she ran to was Vlad, and at first it does look like that she is actually saddened by what happened, but it turns out this is actually part of her plan. This is part of her play. While she was hurt by Danny, at the same time, she also wants to know what's going on as well, and part of the research that she looked up when she hacked Danny's laptop was that Vlad was a ghost, though she also seemed to figure. This is also where she made the discovery that Vlad is a thing for her mom, which from what I can remember of the episode of Vlad premiered, she already knew that because the signs were as subtle as a dumpster truck. Yeah, it does a dumpster truck blaring "Ride of the Valkyries" through your streets. So I don't know, but either way, she suspects that maybe Vlad might have something to do with it, so she ingratiates herself with Vlad by kind of hitting all the cues, by playing to all of his weaknesses, his vanity, his hatred of Jack, and so forth. While at the same time, she starts trying to look around his mansion, trying to find a connection to all the things that Skulker stole. In the meantime, Danny, kind of blaming himself, thinks that she went after Skulker. As that she goes into the ghost zone to find him, and it turns out he catches Skulker as he steals a lightning rod mace or whatever from Technus, which actually is kind of a funny scene. As they're fighting, Technus comes out of his door, and he's just wearing a bath towel, and he's wearing a bath towel, and he's clearly came out of bath, and he clearly is washed up, and he's asking who stole his whatever, and he's accidentally hit by Danny's ectoblast, so Skulker gets to avoid answering that question. But unfortunately, in the fight, Skulker manages to beat Danny by locking him in an ecto cube. And in the meantime, Jazz does manage to find Vlad's secret lab, and underground she finds the ectoskeleton, which she finds the ectoskeleton, And next to it are the nanobots and the ecto converter. And so yeah, she realizes that whatever Vlad's planning, it has to do with all of these. Unfortunately, as she goes for a victory dance, Vlad catches her in the lab, and at first she manages to get out of it by once again playing to his vanity. But then Skulker comes in with the lightning rod and Danny in a box, and Vlad realizes that he's probably being played. Jazz tries to play it off that this is still vanity, and even Danny, when he realizes when he realizes Vlad sees what's going when he sees Vlad when he sees that Vlad's suspecting something, he tries playing out of it. Vlad decides that he's going to test him. That if Jazz is really serious about wanting to become his daughter, so to speak, then he wants to test her loyalty. As such, he puts her in the ectoskeleton, and she puts her and Danny inside in his football field. And like I said, he puts Jazz in the ectoskeleton and releases Danny from his cube. And it turns out that all the things that he had Skulker steal were things that were supposed to help improve the ectoskeleton, pretty much fix its shortcomings, like how when Jack and Danny used it, it took everything they had and pretty much wiped them out. But with the lightning rod and the ecto converter, it should be able to pretty much create unlimited energy, and the nanobots, if injected into the user's bloodstream, should keep their body in routine shape without the suit burning them out. It also serves as a kind of kill switch for Vlad, as if Jazz looks like she's about to disobey, all he has to do is hit a button and the nanobots will kill her. As such, Danny and Jazz, while still angry at each other, realize that they don't want to be here, and they try to make a break for it, but it turns out Vlad put up a ghost shield. Only he rated so that it works on everybody. As such, Danny tells Jazz that they'll have to at least fight somewhat to make it look real. Only Jazz starts wailing on him, actually starts overpowering him, manages to knock him several ways into the ghost shield, but Danny manages to stop her and even faces her into the ground, saying, "What's the big deal?" Only, yeah, that's what she was doing. She was making it look real. As such, when Danny realizes that she is actually listening, she breaks out of the ground and fate makes it look like that she ends him, with Danny even playing along. But when Vlad comes down to congratulate her, Danny escapes and Jazz blasts him. Do I keep calling her Maddie? I think I keep calling her Maddie. I'm sorry. It's Jazz. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep calling her Maddie. Yeah, but I'm probably going to rewatch this later. I'll see if I'm actually calling Jazz Maddie or not, but whatever. Either way, as such, Vlad tries to take down Jazz with the nanobots, but Danny steals the remote, which is how he's been keeping everything running. and he ends up blasting Vlad too, and they both have a laugh over how they conned Vlad, and Vlad decides that he's gonna go ghost a deal with them, thinking that Jazz didn't know about that. Only it turns out she did, and as he gets ready to fight them, it turns out that both of them bailed and that they set the ectoskeleton to self-destruct. As such, they both make an escape, and Jazz apologizes for kind of getting over-involved in what Danny was doing, and Danny apologizes for getting angry at her for what she was doing, that she was only trying to help and so forth. And it's nice and cute, and they ride home in the Spectre Speeder, which is what Jazz took to get to Vlad. While back home, with the kids out, Jack and Maddie wound up playing some chess, and Maddie winds up kicking Jack's butt. So yeah, on the whole, what I think of this episode, it's honestly, again, like I said, some of the best episodes of the series are episodes that focus on the Fenton family, and I think this is another one of the best ones. Once again, we see Jazz like to get over involved in people's lives, for example, when she learned about that Danny in the episode where she learned about Danny's ghost powers, before she figured out what was going on, she was worried about him. She kept wanting him to open up to her, talk to her about what was going on. But the more Danny pushed her away, the more she wanted to get involved. But it was her. But when she finally learned what was getting to Danny, she wound up leaving him alone because of his ghost powers. As such, and the only reason she didn't intervene with what he was doing was because she wanted him to feel comfortable with giving his secret to her. As such, now that she is in on the secret, she's now going in feet first and just not letting up. like when Skulker first said, like when Danny first spots Skulker in this episode, he said Jazz doesn't know who he is, and like even like she's even shocked that Danny's actually fought him multiple times. And as such, the next day when she talked with Danny, she says that she calls him a mystery ghost and calls him Ghost X. And the more Danny and his friends try to tell Jazz that his name's Skulker, she just kind of ignores them because she's used to being the older sibling that's there to help guide her brother. And unlike last week, where I like I said, I understand. Well, I understood Haley's argument. I just have my own counter arguments to it. Unlike last week, this week kind of makes it sense why Danny's getting upset. As in this case, this is like halfway through season 2. So Danny's been doing his ghost hunting for about a season and a half now. So he's gotten at least decent at it at this point. He's had a groove going. He even actually lists the groove to her. They fight, exchange witty banter. He kicks butt. Then he kicks butt, and everyone goes home happy. But now that Jazz is involved, it's kind of she kind of is treating all this. She's kind of treating all this like Danny's a newbie, that he needs her help with all this, even though Danny's kind of got it down pat, or at least somewhat pat. As such, Danny's frustration kind of makes sense. Like, she's interfering with something that she has no business in, but at the same time, you understand Jazz's side. She just wants to be the supportive older sister to Danny. As such, she wants to get more involved in what Danny's doing. It's just that she kind of sucks at it. And that's ultimately why Danny gets upset. She's butting in on something that she has no ideas about. And as such, the more she tries to help, the more things get, the more upset Danny gets, and until he ultimately takes it out on her. Which, yeah, she is upset, but at the same time, they're still family. Like, she openly understands they're still family, as while she does get angry about it, she does try to set out to prove that her theory is correct, and the fact that she's still doing that, I think in some way, is still her trying to prove that she's good at this to Danny. Like, she's still trying to help him, which is actually nice, and I kind of like that. And even in the ending, when Danny says make it real, she actually is listening to Danny here, and they're coordinating, which I like stuff like that. It's just nice seeing them being siblings, getting on each other's nerves and learning each other, but at the end of the day, they still love each other. It's really nice. And again, I kind of do like that we get some more follow with Vlad on the ectoskeleton thing, though we still don't know what deal he made with the Fright Night. I'm guessing that we'll learn later, but we'll see. But again, I liked something. I also liked that too. Just kind of actually kind of advancing that. Vlad, like, it kind of makes sense why Vlad would just upgrade the ectoskeleton, because while he saw the potential in it, he just never used it because of the risks. That's why he let Jack do it. But I do like that we actually get some follow up to that. That, yeah, it does confirm that he stole the ectoskeleton after he saved Danny in Rainstorm. And ever since then, he's been trying to improve upon it so that it can be usable without the drawbacks that came from the first model, which I like. I like stuff like that. And of course, I also kind of like the humor that comes from her inexperience with ghost hunting, as she sucks at witty banter. She has no idea how to use any of the weapons because she was trained by Jack to use them. And at the end of the day, she just keeps making things worse for Danny. As I said in the synopsis, she keeps sucking Danny into the Fenton thermos on several occasions. As such, it is kind of fun. It is kind of nice seeing that, and actually kind of seeing Danny get more upset. And again, even her trying to relish in her victories as she's playing Vlad is just kind of nice, and I like that. And again, the ending is just kind of nice and cute, as Danny and Jazz do still come together, as they both own up to their mistakes, and they both realize that they still love each other, and they still want to be a part, and they kind of do need to work on some things here and there. So it's nice. I like that. I think I do kind of have a few minor problems. Like, it mostly kind of comes from how, like, just some kind of plot things. Like, how did Vlad know about the ecto? I forgot what it was called. Now, you actually said it earlier. Dang it! The ecto generator? Whatever. The thing that used ecto energy. The ecto converter, yes. Like, how did he know about the ecto converter? I don't understand why. And on top of that, we don't really understand. Like, there's not really much payoff, and there's also really not much payoff. Like, while we do learn that he was really stealing his stuff because Vlad paid him, I don't think there's much payoff to that. Like, we understand that he's just trying to upgrade the suit, but that's really it. There's no major payoff to that. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna be using, oh, I need the suit for something big. No, it's just he's trying to upgrade it. That's really just the big thing. He's not. There's no other nefarious plot going on that the suit is a part of. It's just I'm wanting to make the suit better. That's really it. On top of that, that also kind of makes the villain stuff feel like an afterthought. Like, Skulker doesn't really talk a lot in the episode too, which even Danny comments is a bit out of character. And Vlad, on top of that, Vlad again is not the major problem. It's not the major antagonistic force here. Like, he's the guy that Danny and Jazz fight, but the bigger issue is just kind of Danny and Jazz and their familiar relationship clashing, their familiar relationship, and how when Jazz tries to help, and just kind of the conflict that arises when Jazz tries to help Danny and fails, so to speak. It's kind of, as such, the villains kind of don't feel as much needed, and the ultimate payoff for what was going on doesn't feel as grand, so to speak. But again, it still has a lot to like in there. Just kind of the humor that can come from it. I like seeing Danny and Jazz working alongside each other, and I do like the humor, and I kind of also like seeing them when they actually do work together. Just kind of the banter they have, still showing just kind of the banter they have, which is always nice. I just like that. So, but yeah, really, just on the whole, this episode is just another cute episode. Again, seeing the family come together. The biggest problems with it are just some minor plot stuff, the lack of payoff, so to speak, and just kind of the villains didn't feel as needed. I know they were there to help do it on, but make it all to kind of keep it up, to kind of have a conflict be there. But again, the major focus was on Danny and Jazz. So actually, it's kind of funny. It was the stuff with Danny's personal life that was the main that was better. While the stuff with the villains felt a little distracting. So, yeah. On the whole, yeah, Secret Weapons is still a pretty good episode. Good laughs, good heart, good fun, good action. Overall, just a nice episode. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm Samuel Johnson. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.